The world fell in love with Chernobyl long before it knew about Pripyat. Now, the face of the Soviet Union's worst disaster, the name Chernobyl is synonymous with the nuclear calamity. But 40 years ago, that name meant little more than a small town on a map. Today, there is a city deep in the forests of northern Ukraine that does exist on most modern maps. The roads leading to it are cracked and broken. Its buildings stand like silent sentinels, windows shattered, furniture still intact, like ghosts are expected to return home at any moment. This Pripyat, a city built for the future and then abandoned by the world. In the early 1970s, Pripyat was a dream city, built to house the workers of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant. It was one of the youngest and most modern cities in the Soviet Union, with a population of nearly 50,000. It was filled with energy, promise, and youth. The city had everything: schools, cinemas, hospitals, a sports stadium, high-rise apartments, supermarkets. Even an amusement park that was scheduled to open on May 1st, 1986. But Pripyat never saw that day. On the night of April 26, 1986, something went horribly wrong. Deep within Reactor No, at the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant, a safety test turned into a catastrophe. The reactor exploded with a force so powerful, tore through the concrete and released an invisible, deadly force into the atmosphere: radiation. But what happened next remains one of the great unanswered questions of the modern world. Despite the explosion, the people of Pripyat were told nothing. The morning after the disaster, children walked to school as a glowing, radioactive cloud hovered over their heads. Fishermen cast lines into the Pripyat River. People held weddings, played chess in the park, and relaxed on their balconies. All the while, radiation levels were climbing to lethal doses. It wasn't until nearly 2 days later that the order to evacuate was issued. But even then, authorities told the residents not to panic. They would return in a few days, they were told. Just take some clothes, food, and identification. Everything else could stay. So they left. Bicycles were left leaning against walls. Loaves of bread remained in ovens. A birthday cake sat half-eaten on a kitchen table. Pets were left behind, assumed to be cared for within days. But those days never came. No one returned. In the aftermath, the silence was more than physical. It was political. The Soviet Union scrambled to hide the full scale of the disaster. For weeks, the truth was suppressed even as radiation drifted across Europe. But while the world eventually learned of Chernobyl, Pripyat was quietly erased. And that's when the real mystery began. Rumors spread quickly. Soldiers were seen torching fields at night. Entire trainloads of irradiated materials disappeared without record. Helicopters flew over the exclusion zone and never returned. Several cleanup workers, known as liquidators, died mysteriously not from radiation, but from what Soviet doctors called unknown complications. Their files were sealed. Then there were the reports from inside the zone. In the years that followed, a trickle of explorers, scientists, and even former residents began to return illegally. What they described was chilling. It's claimed that their Geiger counters spiked uncontrollably in areas that were previously declared safe. Others swore they saw figures, human shapes, standing in apartment windows, watching them. Several described hearing faint music or radio chatter, even though all transmission towers were dead. One group recorded a transmission repeating a simple phrase in Russian: "You left us." The signal vanished before it could be traced. Even more bizarre was the tale of the Black Bird of Chernobyl. In the days leading up to the disaster, multiple power plant workers and residents of Pripyat reported sightings of a massive, dark-winged creature hovering near the reactor. With glowing red eyes and a terrifying screech, the entity was dismissed by Soviet authorities as hysteria or hallucination. But those who saw it claimed it felt like an omen like death itself, had flown over the city. After the explosion, no sightings were ever reported again. The exclusion zone around Pripyat remains heavily restricted, but some venture in. Thrill seekers, documentary crews, and conspiracy theorists alike all search for answers. But many return with more questions. Some visitors have gone missing, most found days later, disoriented, claiming they lost time. Few have never been found at all. Even the environment seems to shift. Radiation levels fluctuate without warning. Electrical devices malfunction. Compasses spin without cause. Time feels inconsistent. Say many who visit minutes stretch and hours vanish. Locals who live just outside the zone have their own stories. They speak in hushed tones of the city that breathes of strange lights hovering in the distance, and of animals with unnatural mutations seen only at night. Some believe the city is alive. Others say it's cursed. What is clear is this: Pripyat is no longer just a monument to disaster. It has become something more, an open wound in history, an unanswered question in the modern world. The city was built as a symbol of human achievement. Now it's a relic of warning and mystery.